They wanted me to deepen my voice and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but see, I don't, I'm not going to play those kind of roles for people. So I just really feel like it's miseducation on their part. And I just feel like, but we don't do anything in our community to help push it forward either.
Okay. Now, as you know, the movies now with Billy Porter, and before that, Queen Latifah tried to do something with Star, introducing some of the trans women in that. Now, a few of the trans women in there did have sort of male voices in a sense. They didn't try to, change it too much. But for some reason, Billy Porter, the trans women in his have stepped up their game, I guess because they want to be recognized as real actresses.
Yeah.
They've kind of catered, because this is acting. So you can change your voices or make it seem like you've changed your voice when you're acting. Now, what do you do? Now that for me is a step in the right direction. First of all, trying to include the girls, but this is not real Hollywood. Billy Porter is not Hollywood. We need people that are going to put the trans people in the right light. We need superstars that have a real voice like Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, people that are movers and real shakers in Hollywood to help the trans community. Now, I don't, for me, I think we're making some steps towards just a little bit of equality. We're making some steps, but not enough steps. And I think that we're hampered by a lot of the false information that they think about trans women, that they're all escorts or prostitutes or drug addicts, or just have some mental illness because they feel that they shouldn't be a different gender, or they don't feel like that person is in the right gender. Now, as you know, in the last few, I would say 20, 25 years, there has been a lot of unsolved trans murders by, I'm gonna just break it down because I watched it on Google. Black men murdering trans women. And this is something I don't understand, because we know, coming from the Black communities, there's always that one that they call the sissy in the neighborhood, or the one that likes to wear women's clothes or dresses like a woman or dresses like a girl running around the neighborhood. We know this. Why is it, what do you think is happening with this epidemic of these murders? And now they seem to be ramped up again.
Well, I personally think, for me, the problem is that we've been conditioned as a Black culture. We all know that transgenderism, we know for a fact that being gay has existed since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. And in some African cultures, they have where men are coming of age of being men, they have rituals that they do where it's just men, as they do with just women. Mm-hmm. And what people don't realize is that when early in the Americas, when slaves were very important to our white brothers and sisters, when slavery existed, these white men who were bisexual or were gay and they wanted to prove their dominance, they had backbreaking, and they would, do these sexual acts with these Black men who were slaves in front of their children and their wives to mock them, to embarrass them, and to shame them about their manhood and that they meant nothing, Mm-hmm. So that has been a part of the Black culture, and it has been instilled in Black men from generation to generation. And that most of the time, even though that being gay or being transgender has existed, these people haven't let that mentality go. They think it's a white man's thing, or that the white man did that to us, and that's the reason why we're that way. But what do you say when the person is born that way? I personally believe that I was born this way. I don't think God makes mistakes. I think God put me here for the exact reason that I'm here. So, and I also believe that if it wasn't meant for me to be a woman or be able to transition, the things, one thing I do know, what I believe about God is that if something wasn't meant to be, it wouldn't be a way to do it. Okay. And that's how I look at the situation. You know, a lot of these Black men, they are insecure about their sexuality. You know, some of them can't help that they like what they like, you know, but they, like I said, they've been conditioned by, you know, society and other men to, oh, that's, you know, being gay, that is not right, that's not of God, that's not of this, that's not of that. And instead of just embracing who they are and say, you know, I've been very fortunate, like when I was with my husband, it's unfortunate that we're no longer together, but we're the best of friends. But what I loved about him is that he didn't care what anyone thought about him. And even when he would be with his friends, and if they never knew, but now that we've gotten older and, you know, we're not together, people come and say, you went with a transsexual? And he's like, yeah, I still love her, you know, that kind of thing. And and that's the thing that is missing from our Black culture, is about embracing who we are as a people. If you can't embrace the person you love, how can you embrace someone seriously about what's going on in the community? And that's been the problem. And, you know, and I think it stems from slavery and being conditioned to think a certain way. You know, like in some cultures, like in Jamaica, slavery was so bad, and that was such a horrible thing that happened to Black men in front of their families and their children. Like, to be gay in Jamaica is almost like, you know, you're the demon of the earth. You know, they have gay children and transsexual children living in the gullies, living under bridges and sleeping, you know, wherever they can. But these men are still having sex with them, beating them up, you know, doing all this crazy stuff, and, you know, making life hard for us, for a certain culture that they don't have to do that to. If you just learn to embrace and educate yourself on what is it like, we're not sick people. We're not people who have something going on in our brain. There's not a chemical imbalance. I just feel like, personally, I feel like sometimes that starts in the mother's womb, you know, with chromosomes, you know, and I just believe that, I don't think it's our mother's fault or anything like that, but she might have been meant to have a girl child, but because there were so many male chromosomes, that's why the child was born male. You know, and that's how I look at the situation. You know, even though the child, you choose your gender as you find out who you are. You know, and a lot of people don't believe that, but it's the truth. Your genitalia doesn't make your gender. You know, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that. You know, and like I said, and then there's a lot of men out there who love being with transsexuals, but they're afraid of what their family's going to think. They're afraid of what their friends are going to think. And so they rather kill us or hide the situation than deal with it head on about their own situations. Like, I refuse to mess with a man who is, I cannot be a booty call. I cannot be a midnight rendezvous. I cannot be someone that is a secret. I'm not trying to go out there and boast my business, you know, about who I am, but at the same time, don't disrespect me with that, you know, with your own prejudice about what you think who you are, you know, and a lot of men do that, you know. That's just like everybody thinks that transsexuals are prostitutes, you know, escorts and things like that, but what they don't realize that there are a lot of women and men who are prostitutes and escorts as well.
You know, I'm sorry to cut you off. There's nothing wrong with being an escort and a prostitute if you're making your money and you have to do what you have to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't deserve to be murdered because you're an escort or a prostitute. Exactly. You don't deserve to be murdered because of that. You know, I find it rather strange, Desiree, that, you know, my parents, I love them, but I'm going to say something that my mother probably would have slapped me for now, is that I used to always question her. They live by the church 24/7. We lived good. We had a good life. Our parents didn't deny us nothing, but they put every dime they had into the church and into God, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, helping everybody else in the community. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, I never saw the preacher preach once about protecting the lives of the LGBTQ community, welcoming them, just having an open platform to where everyone is welcome. They say that, but as soon as you walk into the door, the preacher has this gay sermon coming towards your way.
Yeah.
It never fails. And mainly in the Black community, who are supposed to be devoted Christians. Now, this is what I never could understand. So, yeah, we know he's in the community, but now he's coming to church. Wouldn't you think that that should be an open platform for you just to, because they probably think you're going to come into church and, you know, I don't know what they're thinking. We know what
they're thinking demonic thoughts. They're thinking demonic thoughts.
And one thing about, like you said before, about Black men, they don't want to first face the sexuality thing. Let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with sex. There's nothing wrong with sex at all. No matter how you get it, whatever way you like it, whatever. It's just part of who you are. But people don't deserve to be harmed because of just having sex, and just because of your sexual desires that you can't accept, you kill another human being because you thinking what society thinks or what your daddy said or your mama said or how you were conditioned. Now, what do you say? Why do you think that, you know, the girls are aware of what's going on now? We're all aware of the trans murders. We hear about it all the time. What do you think the girls are missing that keeps them from protecting themselves every time? Because I know Black trans women, they fight back constantly. So I'm surprised they would be getting in situations to where they can't have just a little bit more control.
They're not mindful of their situations. They don't pay attention. They don't ask the right questions. And then a lot of times, I personally believe a lot of these girls that have been murdered have been caught off guard. They were caught off their guard by, you know, somebody pretending to love them, somebody pretending to care about them. You know, even the ones that have been out escorting or prostituting, you know, they put themselves in a predicament thinking like they're trying to make some money, get their hustle on, and then the guy flips the script. He meddled with you personally just to do something to you, even though you asked the right questions. But the thing about it is that you have to be mindful of situations. I'm just sorry, God gives you the most powerful thing, and that is your brain. And you should be catching those red flags and those whistles. You know, if you get that feeling, like it's just like when you meet a piece of trade, or people don't know what trade is, but if you meet a guy off the internet, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you get that tingle, you know, like for me, it's like when you go to a hotel and you look at the reviews. It's the same thing when you look at someone, go through their pictures. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I'm not talking to anyone that doesn't have a picture, A.